Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Relix, and today we're going to review episode 20 of My Hero Academia Season 7. And it's another good one. I really enjoyed it. A couple things were a little bit confusing for me, at least personally. This episode definitely focused on the dynamic between Uraraka and Toga, and how, what's going through Toga's mind throughout the past couple episodes that we've seen her, as well as what's happening with her and the villains. So it was a really interesting or episode to watch, as well as had some really good action, some decent dialogue. Music wasn't really there as much as I would hoped it would have been, but that's okay. We've been getting some good music overall throughout the season. But yeah, there's some plot points I need to cover that are just kind of a little lackluster for the episode, but overall it was still a good one. As always, this is a 100% spoilers review. Just again, to reiterate, for those who have not seen this or my reviews before, it is based solely on the anime, no manga, no movies, no outside sources, just straight from the episode and the seasons themselves. And this is just my opinions, of course, so feel free to comment down below if you guys have anything to say. But let's get started with the hero of the episode, and it is none other than Uravity herself. For obvious reasons, she was practically the only one who actually was doing something in this episode, and she is the one who, and as I mentioned, spoilers, is the one who stopped Toga indefinitely. So let's get started. I will talk more about that as we go along. Let's get started. So we start off the episode with, obviously, first we started with a recap. We started with Shoto basically disabling Dabi, and we can see the area in the background where he is in the Gunga Villa Site area. And from there, we get the opening credits, and then of course it fades back to here, where we see Toga as Twice, and she is viewing basically the defrost of Dabi from all the way over here at the original Gunga Villa Site. And she's viewing it, she's seeing that her ally has been practically defeated, probably, and she asks herself, were you able to laugh? And that is a callback to the beginning of the season, where she went to her old home and met with Dabi there, and he said that, let's laugh together as the final day comes to fruition. The war begins, and basically laugh their problems away, be the villains that they are, and defeat the heroes. And so she's asking, were you able to laugh? Was Dabi able to laugh in his final moments? And as we know, that was not the case. Obviously, Toga doesn't know that, and so we know as the audience that no, Dabi was not able to laugh. In fact, he didn't have to, because in a matter of speaking, he has a chance to reconcile with his family. I'm assuming that he is still alive, because he was able to move and talk towards the end of the last couple episodes. So I'm assuming that yes, he is still alive, and he has the chance to recover and eventually make amends with his family in the long run. So in this case, Toga doesn't know that, but she believes that Dabi may have had his chance to get revenge and live out his dream. Meanwhile, while her attention is preoccupied with that, the other heroes are being pinned down, and it's not just these guys too, but just so happens that they showed the three that we were focusing on a couple episodes ago, who were trying to find where Toga was, which Twice was her. And I do believe they found her based on Uraraka looking upon that one Twice that's looking away. So she does realize which one is Himiko Toga. However, they were all taken down and pinned. And then we get the opening, or the episode title, which is A Girl's Ego. And that cuts off to going back to Pixie Bob, who is trying to use her quirk to hold off all the Twices. But unfortunately, there's just too many. As we can see, her mud attack is just way too small compared to the amount of Twice that are around the field, and therefore she too is being swept away. There's nothing that she can do, and I would assume, like I said before, she's probably the leader of this area now that Endeavor and Hawks are out of commission, and so she is the last quote-unquote hope for the heroes defensively, but unfortunately she's not strong enough either, as well as everyone else in the area. Everyone is being swept away by the Sad Man's parade, and we even see in the bottom pictures here the location from Shoto and his family, and you can't really see it in this picture, but in a couple frames you can see the Twices in the very long horizon above the ice mist, and they are starting to build up and approach them. Same thing with Hawks and Tsukuyomi. They're there too. Unfortunately, they're really out of commission, but we see Hawks is standing, and he has his sword up as well. But again, like I said, in the horizon you can see a couple of the black mountain looking figures. Those are actually the Twices as they are coming towards them. But it is good to see that Hawks is standing. He is alive. However, he does look like absolute crap. Let's be honest. I think this is one of those situations where he should have died. There's no reason for All For One to have not killed him. As well as, he just lost his quirk. That's not just something, that you add to yourself. That's a part of him. It is part of his existence since he was born. So it's kind of weird that, by losing his quirk and in the shape that he was in, he didn't just die. But again, that's fine. I have no problems with it. I just thought it was kind of like, that was one of those moments where, hey, I expect people to die, and Hawks probably should have died here. But he's still alive, but he looks absolutely like crap. But he is standing up. He is ready to basically give up his life defending Tsukuyomi, who is lying on the floor. Again, I don't see Dark Shadow, so I don't know if All For One was able to steal Dark Shadow from Tokoyami. But if that is the case, and that they didn't do a good job showing it, and then of course that sucks for him. But then it would go into, again, back to a couple episodes ago where Grape Juice said, like, don't take Dark Shadow away from him. It would make sense if that was the case, but again, we didn't see it, so I don't think it happened. But that's just me hoping. Then we come back to Uravity, and she rises up from her pinned state. As we know, her quirk allows her to cause 0 gravity on her opponents, and just by touching them, she's able to push off all the Twices. So it makes me think, okay, sure, that makes sense for her, but Toga is in a huge mental, degrading mental state right now, in which she is really upset. She wants to kill the heroes. She keeps saying constantly through the past so many episodes, annihilate the heroes. I need to kill them all. And yet, she doesn't actually kill any heroes. And that's one of the things that's going to minus points for this episode for me, is the fact that she has an army. An army that covers the entire battlefield of Twice. And yet, none of them are actually able to kill a hero. At least not that we see. Maybe a generic hero died, I'm not sure. But as of on screen, we have not seen anyone die. And so it's making me wonder, how is that possible? What is the point of all the Twices in the first place if they're not going to be killing anybody? Same thing, if you can't pin down Uravity with just, an army of Twice, then how are you supposed to stop her specifically, as well as the other heroes? So again, like I said, I mentioned before, the other heroes were being washed away in the wave of Twice, but they're not dying. So there's no point in really showing it to us if they're not going to actually be in trouble. They're not in any danger. But that's just me giving my thoughts on the fact that the Twice are pretty useless, to be honest. They're just clones that just dogpile on top of people, but they don't actually hurt anybody. Now, is that a sign of something to come as well? Perhaps. But as of right now, initial thoughts based on the episode order, I don't think that they are doing anything, and therefore there is no danger to the heroes. So it kind of, lowered the tension from the episode for me. I didn't think the heroes were in like a grave state of danger compared to when they were fighting All For One, or when the Coffin in the Sky guys were losing to Tomura. So, just my thoughts. But as always, Uravity is still trying to get to Toga. We can see that other mountain on the pile of twice. That on top is Toga, I believe. However, Uravity is constantly being strapped down and pinned, and prevented from getting to her so she can talk. Because Toga doesn't want to talk. She mentioned before that she is done talking. She doesn't want to talk to Uravity, and she wants her to go away. But Uravity keeps saying that she saw Toga crying, and she wants to be able to connect with her, confront her, about her feelings and what's going through her mind. And the reason why Toga is crying is because she realizes that she can't use the other villains' quirks, specifically Tomura's and Dabi's. She can't make flames, and she can't make, she can't use decay. She can make copies, possibly, but as of right now, she cannot, because she doesn't have their blood. And even if she had their blood, she can't make the copies anyways, make their quirks, because apparently she doesn't like them enough right now, because her mind is in a state of murderous intent. At least that is what Uravity pointed out to her, that her mind is no longer of pure thoughts. She is not thinking of them as family. She is currently focused only on one thing, and that is to kill the hero. So again, it's a little contradictory, because she's not actually killing anybody, but at the same time, that is her goal. And so her mind is not focusing on being able to appreciate and love her friends, her comrades, and so her quirks are not working. But that only upsets Toga even more. She's like, I'm tired listening to you, Uravity. Shut up, go away. If you don't, I'm going to kill Froppy. And she's ready to kill her to show her resolve. And so we can see here in this picture that Uravity is connected to Toga through her cable on her arm. And so they are connected. However, Froppy is in immediate danger. She is right there. And Froppy even acknowledges that she could not fight back efficiently to defend herself because of all the damage she did sustain at Okuto Island, where they came from originally. And again, to be honest, I didn't see the danger there, because as I mentioned in that episode, I think it was like 3 or 4 episodes ago now, Froppy didn't actually get stabbed by the high-end Nomu that was there. In fact, it was Toga who actually saved her, in a matter of speaking, from being completely punctured by the high-end Nomu. So I am confused about how much damage Froppy has received throughout the past so many scenes, I guess you can say. Time frame wise, it's only been like so many minutes, but the amount of damage she's taken, it just doesn't seem very realistic for her, especially since we know that Froppy is very durable. She's shown many times in the past seasons that she is a very strong fighter. She is very durable, but now that we're here in this war, it just to me seems like she is very fragile, and even the slightest bit of hits, I guess you can say, would damage her, which doesn't seem right to me. She's shown to be much stronger than that, and so I don't agree with everything that's happened so far. But again, maybe the Twices, off screen, are beating her up. I don't know. It just doesn't look like it, to me at least. Then we get a flashback as well from Toga's perspective. She goes back to when her family criticizes her, and they ask someone, in a mental hospital, I think, or clinic or something, to evaluate her and help her change. But her outset view of the world is they don't understand her, and hence the reason why we're even getting this flashback in the first place, because she is trying to tell us as the audience that, hey, no one truly understands how I feel. No one really understands what's going through my mind. The way I see the world is so much different than everyone else's view, but I just want to fit in. And so in the top left, we saw that there was a sparrow in her backyard. She claims that it fell and died in her backyard, and it wasn't her fault that it died. She wasn't drinking the blood of it because she killed it. it was there already. And yet the parents see her as, she killed the sparrow and then she's drinking its blood. And then, of course, we go to these scenes here where she's viewing people in this park, I suppose, and she doesn't understand, what's going through their minds, what kind of laughter and joy they're experiencing, because it's not the same as what she would experience through her perspective. In her way, her blood, drinking people's blood, is what gives her joy, what makes her happy. Hence the reason why she is always basically, you can say, eating herself. She's constantly causing blood to come out of her body, and that's one reason why she's biting her finger here. It's because she wants to suck on her own blood, because she loves herself. But unfortunately, she's totally misunderstood. We even get another flashback moment to where the parents said that you drank the blood of your friend, and why would you do that? And she says that it's not like, it wasn't like that. It's not like she, wanted to hurt them or anything. She just really likes them in her way, in her view, because again, I don't even know if her parents at this point really understand that she has a quirk at this point. I'm not sure. It's not really established, I don't think, that they know or not if she has a quirk, but she drinks the blood of people she likes, and she wants to become basically those people that she likes because she really loves them. And so she's confused to why everyone else doesn't suck blood like her, but that's because that in her mind that's normal, because she has this quirk that allows her to be happy by drinking people's blood. And so it's a total misunderstanding from her viewpoint. Even for me, I was a little confused as well throughout this entire episode, even up to this point. Like, I don't truly understand how Toga feels. Her dynamic and with liking other people and having to suck their blood, it was really confusing. I had to watch this episode a couple times through just to really grasp the understanding of it, but I think I do understand now. At least that's my opinions. But, you never know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something else that isn't established or was established and I don't remember. But overall, no one understands what Toga is going through because her view of the world is much different than everyone else's. But because of the fact that she has to pretend to be like everyone else, we get a little bit of a, this is now internally on the battlefield. Obviously, this person, Chitose Kizuki, she was one of the leaders of the Meta Liberation Army back a couple seasons ago now. She died, obviously. We know that Toga killed her. But what her words are and what she said to Toga in the past basically is haunting her and, is basically within her mind constantly, telling her that she has to become someone else in order to be part of this world. And yet Toga doesn't believe in that, and so she's constantly having to wear a mask to hide her true feelings of seeing the world in a way that she wants to see it. And everyone else has to view her as being a good person who doesn't suck blood and doesn't want to kill people and have their blood. She wants to be able to drink people's blood because she cares about them. She loves them, she likes them, and she wants to be them. That's her understanding of love. But so as we see this scene, the mask actually comes off. It breaks apart, and she puts this person aside, and she says, "All right, you need to go away, Uravity. I am doing this. This is how I feel." And so she actually swings her knife at Froppy to kill her. However, we can see here on the far right side of the screen that her arm is actually being pulled. She was actually saved by Uravity. She was able to pull her away from striking Froppy and killing her. At least that was the intent, I believe, was going through the scene. So now Froppy is away from Toga, who, like I said, the twice apparently can't kill, so Toga is the only one who can. Now that Toga is out of the way, Froppy is technically safe. But we also get to see that she's not entirely safe, because now the twice doubles are now becoming other heroes. In fact, the Froppy that was falling down was caught by Kamui in the background. You can see on the bottom picture. And Earphone Jack thought that the one falling was still her. However, it turned out to be a double. And this Froppy is now, demonly looking like she's going to attack and eat Earphone Jack. Like, she is, pretty scary looking. Now, we didn't get to see if these doubles have any quirks being used. Obviously, Toga doesn't know who Earphone Jack is, so obviously she won't be able to use her quirk. However, she should be able to use Froppy's in a matter of speaking. But again, like I said, we don't really see that. Therefore, I don't think Toga can use anyone's quirks right now. It is just the fact that she cannot use anyone's quirks except for twice, because she is mentally degraded to the point where she's not thinking straight, and she doesn't know what she really wants right now. So moving on, Froppy now tries to talk to Toga and tries to tell her that, hey, talking is much harder than having to kill or capture somebody, and that is what Uravity is trying to do right now. She is trying to talk to Toga. She doesn't care about the rules of heroes and villains. She doesn't care that Toga has committed crimes in the past. All that matters right now is that Uravity is trying to talk to Toga, and that it is much more difficult than if Toga were have the opportunity to just take out Toga entirely. If Toga dies, the Twices will most likely die as well, because it is her quirk that's activating them in the first place. So, as far as all the heroes are concerned, Uraraka should just, have a knife, or take Toga's knife, and just kill her. However, that is not Uravity's goal right now, and therefore Froppy is trying to tell Toga that that is the end goal, that is what's happening right now, and that Toga should listen to Uravity and talk it out. Unfortunately, we see here in this pictures that Toga wants nothing to do with it. She doesn't care. She thinks that these girls are taking pity on her and are trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. And again, not understanding what Toga is going through or what her viewpoint of the world is. And by the way, you see that Froppy? That is one funky looking Froppy right there. Oh my goodness. I saw that and I was like dying laughing because it was pretty funny looking. This scene happens in a matter of I think 1 whole second. 1 second. That's how long this was on the screen for. But it was hilarious. I was like, oh my god, what the heck is that? But in that 1 second, then we went on to seeing Uravity be stabbed by Toga directly right in the middle of her stomach. And Toga's saying she doesn't care. It's too late to talk. She all she cares about is killing the heroes and moving past them. But we also see that this is a pretty deep wound, by the way. I mean, that knife isn't exactly super short, and it goes right through Uraraka's stomach. She's bleeding out. We even see her multiple times throughout the episode now. She's coughing up blood. In fact, around her mouth, as we will see in later pictures, is constantly covered in blood, demonstrating that this is a very deep wound to the point where she is going to be coughing it up all the time. And again, I do believe I have to reiterate this as well. I think we have forgotten that Uraraka was actually stabbed in the shoulder back at Okuto Island, because there is no sign here that she is actually wounded in any way. And again, this is the same exact knife that stabbed her in the shoulder, and yet her shoulder is perfectly fine. She's not even bleeding anymore, and she's able to use her arm no problem throughout the entire episode. So I think at this point we forgot that she was even injured, which again is a little bit of a plot convenience for her. But again, now she's really wounded here. I don't see how she really gets out of this alive unless obviously they defeat Toga somehow immediately, which again, like I said, she does, but we'll get into that in a bit. Then we have a flashback again, because now that Toga has shown that she is ready to kill Uraraka and move past her, she doesn't care what she thinks. We also get to see this flashback of the villains talking about their names and how Toga herself doesn't have a name, and they're like, "How come you don't have a name? Have you ever thought about it?" And I thought this was a really nice callback to the League of Villains because this is just them hanging out. This is their little crew, and it's a little bit of a slow down moment for the episode, which I think was needed at the time, and I thought this was really nice. But they're all like, "Hey, how about this name? How about that name?" And we even hear twice say, "Or Choo Choo, Pikachu." Just like how Pikachu says in Pokemon, which I thought was a pretty funny reference to Pokemon. It's not spelled the same, but it is basically the same, and I thought that was kind of funny. We even get to see Tomura say, "I do think it's cool, though, to have a name, a specific hero or villain name, something that hides your identity, but at the same time gives you a signature, identity for the world to know who you are." But even him, he doesn't have one either. He's just called Shigaraki, right? Tomura Shigaraki. No one called him anything different, so he doesn't want a name, but he does think it's cool. He does think the idea of having a name is cool. And I was like, well, okay, well, at least he acknowledges it. But everyone else agrees that, having that name makes them who they are. Which is also kind of funny because Dabi agreed. However, even he doesn't give out his true identity to the other guys. And they're all like, "What's your name? We don't even know that." So Dabi could be his real name for all they know. But Toga obviously stands up and she's like, she's glad she joined the League of Villains because she can be who she wants to be and live as herself. And therefore, that's why she doesn't need her name. Need a name, a villain name, because she wants to live as Himiko Toga. She wants to be able to be herself and not have to be hidden behind a mask. She doesn't need to hide who she truly is or, live by a false identity. She wants to be her and herself, and hopefully the world can view her that way as normal. And I think that was a really nice moment. Again, this flashback, interrupts obviously the stabbing of Uravity. However, I think it is needed to demonstrate that she wants to just be herself and no one else. And so after that, we actually get back to the scene, and Uravity, obviously, we can see bleeding out. Her whole entire torso is bleeding now, but she is still willing to forgive Toga and talk to her. And so she grabs onto Toga and uses her zero gravity quirk to touch her, and they start to float away. Now we have a standoff here, 1v1 basically, and Uravity is like still trying to get through to Toga. She still wants to talk to her. She even tells her that her zero gravity isn't a power used to kill people, and that too frustrates Toga because she's like, why aren't you trying to kill me? Just because you touched me, you got me? No. You trying to take pity on me? No. It's like Uraraka's just trying to talk to her. She just wants a moment of time to share their feelings with each other. And yet Toga doesn't, she doesn't want to listen. And she's like, don't take pity on me. This is a battle for survival. And she is going to go all out. In fact, her anger, I don't know if this is causing a disruption in her quirk specifically, but we know that for a fact her outfit isn't her actual outfit, right? We know that she usually wears her jacket with skirt and, she has her mask and, everything like that. But this isn't her actual outfit. This is actually Twice's outfit. And so as she is getting more and more upset, and her mental state is degrading even more, the clothes are starting to literally rip off her body to the point where it's almost like it's melting off of her skin. And now we are able to see more of her skin. Her face is now more revealed. Her body is starting to reveal itself. The outfit is starting to melt away, or in this case, I guess you can say, disappear. But her anger is getting more intense. She makes even more doubles of everybody now. She's like, I am ready to go all out. This is it. This is the final moment. We have the amount of twices required to create the Sad Man's Legion. And I didn't notice. I noticed this right away, actually. In the top left picture, kind of looks like a face. Like a little bit of a monster. Kind of, there's an eye and then a smaller eye on the right in the center. And then there's like a mouth. It just, to me, it seemed like a big, giant monster just kind of breaking out. And she calls it the Sad Man's Legion. It's not Sad Man's Parade anymore. And we get to see a full view of how large of a scale this, wave of twice is now from the helicopter view. And the female broadcaster is there, give us, information like this is crazy. And the fact that she reiterates that this is the doomsday theory that she's heard about for years. The fact, and that what that fact is as the quirks exist, in the past, and then they transfer to new generations and next generation after that, quirks only get stronger. They're only going to basically merge together, or they're going to, get stronger because, two people with quirks, they get together and then they form a stronger quirk, or even the two quirks can merge together as one. There's so many possibilities that there's only the only fear is things can only get stronger, things can get more dangerous, and therefore people who have these dangerous quirks can still pose a huge threat in the future. So that is something that she's worried about, and this is the demonstration of that. Toga was able to basically take Twice's quirk, and now she's able to create this massive army that can cover not just over a battlefield, but as we can see, it can cover over a huge part of a city, if not an entire city, or even a country at this point, depending on, obviously, of course, if she has the blood of Twice to do that. So that's just something that we need to point out, because that's how large of a scale of attack that she is now able to command. But we go back to the moment, and she sends all of her Twices to attack Uravity at this point. By the way, I love the design of how they did this. It is literally just Twice's outfit that's covering Toga, but the way that the outfit is starting to rip apart, to melt away. Obviously, for reasons you can't show her nude or anything like that. But I think it looks really cool. Design-wise, I think it really looks nice on Toga. It's a really cool concept. So I really do appreciate the design of whoever thought this was pretty good. But she sends the Twices towards her, and Uravity, she stands ready. She's still floating in the air, but this, big wave of Twice are now coming at her, and she pulls out her, as we've seen multiple times throughout the entire anime, her Gunhead martial arts that she learned from Gunhead. And with her zero gravity quirk, she is able to just simply touch one and then push them away. Therefore, she will never actually be pretty much harmed in this situation. She can go up against a whole army of Twice right now, but it doesn't matter, because as long as she gets a single touch on them, she can just easily push them away as if they're just, floating in space. Nothing can harm her right now. And so she's trying to push her way through still to get to Toga and talk to her. She is still committed to doing that. And I love that. That's absolutely amazing. She has a goal, and she's not going to give up until she does. By the way, here's another view of Toga as she is waiting for Uravity to eventually get to her. I love this pose. I think she looks absolutely awesome. Sexy even. Like I said, it's the Twice skin, it's his outfit, but it just looks really nice how they did this. She looks absolutely amazing. By the way, look how tall she looks. I don't think we've ever seen Toga stand straight up tall like that. So it makes her look like an actual woman, not just a like a teenage girl. And I think this was pretty cool. Just my thoughts though. But we also get to see there's an internal struggle. Obviously, unlike Tomura and Deku, who have a connection through All for One and One for All, these two don't have that connection. So this right here, this is kind of like a an audience representation of what is actually happening in this moment. And that is Uraraka saying that she has seen many faces before. She has seen many people happy, sad, mad, etc., 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 and that she's seen all kinds of people throughout her life. And then now she is seeing Toga in this state of of loneliness, and she wants to face her face to face. She wants to be able to talk to her and understand her feelings and what's going through her mind. And so we get this internal struggle, seeing them as kids. Had they met in the past, could Uraraka have convinced her to be good and not be a villain? And she even says that the expression you had when you said you liked someone was such a beautiful smile that it made me jealous. That's a callback to when they're on the Koto Island, when Toga says, "I like you. I have ever since I first saw you," to Deku. And that was when Deku always got flushed. He's like, "What? You mean like go on a date and everything, right?" And that really flustered him. However, she saw that smile from Toga, and Uravity believes that that was a beautiful smile, and the confession that she gave to Deku was so heartwarming, heartfelt, full of love, that she was jealous that Toga was able to do that. Something that she herself could not do throughout the many, couple years now Uravity spent with Deku at UA. And because of that, Uravity doesn't want to pretend like she never saw Toga's face. That there is a girl, an innocent girl, hidden underneath all of this violence that she is, exerting out to the world. And again, that goes back to the mask situation that Toga has to put on for everybody. Everyone else sees a villain, but underneath that villainous mask is someone who actually has feelings and actually, sees other people in a way that only she can, but she needs to be understood before receiving judgment by everyone else. And so, because we also mentioned before, Hawks did at least, or no, Endeavor mentioned before that quirks manifest extra power. They become stronger when on the brink of death. Hence the reason why Dabi was able to exert so much heat when he was literally about to blow up and take Endeavor and everyone else in the area with him, until Shoto came along and changed that. Same thing's happening here. Uraraka is currently on the verge of death. We know that this wound that she received just now from Toga is now going to be a fatal wound if she is not treated immediately. And because she is on the verge of death, her quirk is becoming stronger. Her feelings are really coming out in this moment. And because of that, her quirk is now able to expand to more than just touching people. It is able to expand to the point where everything that her quirk touches and then subsequently touches another thing is able to, spread the zero gravity. Same thing with how Tomura's quirk, Decay, was able to work only on something that he touched and grasped with all of his fingers. Then it spread when he mutated himself to, if he touched the ground, even touching that ground, everybody would be affected. Hence the reason why back then everyone needed to have some kind of flying quirk or just not touch the ground. So same thing's happening here. Everything that Uraraka had touched and then touches that from the ground to the other people. The whole army of Twice are now floating in the sky because they all touched each other. And we even get to see that Uraraka is still trying to talk to Toga and saying that I will give you my blood. Obviously this is a child looking their internal struggle with Toga, but however, in actuality, Uraraka is saying, take my blood. Drink my blood, I will give you as much as you want. Just talk to me. Just speak with me. Let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about love. Let's talk about, the world. And we even get to see that these feelings are spreading out to, really wide. Heck, it's even affecting the other heroes. Earphone Jack is here as well. And she's like, wait, how is this possible? It's just another realization that Uraraka's powers are expanding. But it's just a little sidetrack. We even get to see that Toga is realizing, like, how is this happening? Well, in this case, I just need to make another double. She makes another double, but then that double starts floating too, because, again, it's touching everybody else. She's floating, therefore, the double that she makes is also going to float. There's nothing she can do. The entire parade, or I guess in this case, Sadman's Legion, is now going to float into the sky and basically can't do anything. And this is actually further explained by how Toga was able to use Uravity's quirk when she too was on the brink of dying against the Meta Liberation Army. When she was about to die, she drank Uravity's blood and she became Uraraka. And in that moment, she made everyone fly, even though she wasn't touching all of them. And obviously in the end she did kill them all, but it just goes to show that on the brink of death, quirks do manifest extra powers, and this is a great example to show that is the case. And look at that, we even got to see it in the past already, that Uraraka's quirk can do this in the past. We just didn't know what was the condition for it. Now we do. Heck, we even see Kamui and Tiger, they're fine too. Like I said, everyone's fine. All the heroes are fine. No one dies. But we still get to have the standoff between Toga and Uravity. They're constantly in a struggle still. I thought those were really cool frame right here. Again, like I said, Toga looks absolutely amazing. But Uravity is still tied on by her cable. And she will not let go. She will not leave. She wants to keep talking. And Toga even goes for a final strike. And, is ready to finally end Uraraka's life. Finally ready to just move past everything. But as Uravity is charging towards her, she says that she wants to talk about love and get to know her even more. Take all the blood in my body if you want. Just let me speak with you. And Toga's, she's screaming like, go away. That's it. I'm done. But at the last second, she stops her knife, and we get to see the demon inside of her. This ugly thing that has been morphed so much. She finally gets to see someone innocent and someone who wants to speak with her, to understand her, come through. And even though she's this hideous thing that everyone in the world itself has transformed her into a monster, has viewed her as a monster, this one girl is suddenly reaching out to her and giving herself up just to talk. And this demon look for Toga, I thought was perfect. I thought this was absolutely perfect. It looks so morphed that it is a perfect representation of what Toga truly has become, and hence the reason why she too doesn't even truly understand herself in this moment of time. And again, we get to see a very close-up face of this kid, Uraraka, and she's like, take my blood. I don't care that you are scary. I don't care that the world has changed you into this monster. I want to talk to you. So if taking my blood will allow me to talk to you, then take my blood. And because of that, Toga stops her attack. She doesn't actually pierce through her heart, and they start to cry together. Toga confesses that one of the biggest reasons why she likes Izuku is because he looks like the boy that she liked in the past. And because of all the issues she's had throughout her entire world, her life up to this point, she couldn't tell him that she liked him, because if she did that, then he wouldn't like her, as a human, because she wants to drink his blood. So again, she wants to drink the blood of people she likes. That's how she understands life. That's her way of being friends with people. And yet, if she does that, then this guy will totally hate her. By the way, his name is Saito. That was an interesting point. Don't think it needed to be said, but that's the way it was. And so we get to see that as her mind is starting to calm down, she is starting to talk to Uraraka about love, just like she wanted, and talk about her feelings. The blood inside of her, Twice's blood, is starting to disappear. It's starting to wear off. It has a time limit, and it is no longer, working anymore. Her mind is at ease, in a matter of speaking, and therefore she is not focused on the battle anymore. By the way, she is becoming naked. So she even states that Jin's disappearing. His blood is disappearing from her. Time is up. This is it. I'm done. There's nothing else she can do. So she and Uraraka are embracing each other. We can see here their quirks are intermixed together. As all the Twice start to disappear out of existence, Uraraka's quirk is also just kind of, all the dust and everything is just floating away, and they're just intertwined. It's a very very interesting mix, because technically I don't think Uravity's quirk should be like physically visible, but it is here. Kind of interesting to see. Really pretty though. But they are still holding one another. Obviously Uraraka is not going to let her go, and we even get to see like this moment here. She says that she is, her smile is beautiful and it's cute, and so we even get to hear Toga ask Uraraka, and she's like, "Am I cute?" And again, kind of a creepy smile, to be honest. I won't lie, but I thought it was very heartwarming, because this person who throughout this entire episode has been so upset, so angry, with an angry expression constantly on her face, all of a sudden has someone to talk to about her feelings, and she made all these confessions now, and she's able to finally let go of all the hate that she's been bottling up inside, and the mask that she was wearing can finally be removed, and she can talk to someone. And so she asks Uraraka, "Am I cute? Am I really that cute?" And Uraraka responds, "The cutest in the world." Obviously, again, in this situation, Uraraka is on the brink of death. She's been stabbed. Again, like I mentioned, blood is constantly being spilled from her mouth. Her quirk itself, causes her to become sick. So she is also, we also saw throughout the episode, she's throwing up. Not just blood, but just in general. So she is vastly ill. Like, she even mentions her body is going cold, and yet all she cares about in this moment is not herself, but that of her which she wants to become friends with, in a matter of speaking. Someone who she wants to try and understand and change their outlook of the world. And because of that, we finished the episode with Toga smiling. Now, this is a much better smile, by the way. This is why I use this as the thumbnail. This right here was the absolute epitome of the episode. I loved it. And I love this look on Toga. She is finally, in a matter of speaking, she has finally found her place in the world. And it is here where someone has truly came to the point of understanding how she feels, and Uravity wants to get to know her. It's hard for me to speak it because it's not something I really understood from the get-go. I had to rewatch it a couple of times, but seeing Toga come to realize that she is not alone anymore, is really nice to see. I don't agree with how everything kind of built up to this point. Uravity herself didn't really explain to us as the audience that this was her end goal, but the way it was played out and the way it was shown in the anime, I actually loved it a lot, and this is a perfect way to end the episode. Now, as far as what's going to happen next, who knows? I just love to see that there's a smile on Toga's face, and it's not one of murderous intent, or so like she wants to hurt somebody. This looks like an authentic. She has finally found her place in the world. She is finally happy for once in her life, and is able to smile for herself and not hide it behind a mask. So I just thought that was a really, really cool way to end the episode. Now, as far as what's happening next time, I really hope that this is it. Unlike Dobby, who lost, and then came back with even more hate, and then went to Endeavor, obviously. I want this to be the end of it. This is it. Toga gives up. She allows herself to be contained in custody, but Uraraka is going to be with her every step of the way. I really hope that is the way this ends, because like I've mentioned before about Spinner, I don't think he's a bad guy necessarily. He was just misunderstood. Heteromorphs were discriminated against, just like there is racism in real life as well. People don't like each other for specific reasons, and just like Spinner, I felt like Toga too was discriminated against. So that technically does not make her a bad person as much as just misunderstood. And so yes, she has to take responsibility for her crimes and her actions in the past, but at the same time, I think it's nice to see that, hey, she can possibly be a good person now. Like, she could possibly, make amends with the world and, be a good person in the end. Survive this war and do her time, perhaps, and then just, of course, be friends with, in this case, Uravity. So I really thought that was a really nice moment. Now, if this goes the other direction, and in the end she's like, oh, thank you for being my friend, stab, Uraraka dies, I'm going to be upset. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to happen. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be the thing that happens. But that should be the end of the Gunga Villa Site in general. So now we should move back to the Coffin in the Sky. Obviously, to what happens with All For One and All Might will most likely be what happens next. We don't know what happened between them. Obviously, we know that All For One does see All Might and wants to engage with him, so we'll see exactly what happens there. If I heard correctly, there should be 26 episodes, so we have 6 more to go. We need to wrap up with the Coffin in the Sky and then All For One. We were coming down to the very end here, so I like the way things are going. I like the way this episode went. Again, it lost points because of the fact that the Twices didn't kill anybody, even though that is the murderous intent that was going through Toga's mind. So technically, we should have seen more people die. In fact, we're not seeing anyone die anymore. Even Hawks is still alive. This is a war. I mentioned it before. No one's dying. The kids aren't dying. So I am disappointed a little bit in the fact that, power of friendship is really coming through now, and the power of hope for the heroes is just really coming to the forefront. The only person who has actually died is Bakugo. I think, right? If I remember correctly, he's the only one who's actually died at all on screen. No one else has died. Not a single person has died except for Bakugo. And of course, he's one of the main characters. He's not going to die. As we saw, Edge Shot is going to bring him back to life. Now, Edge Shot should die in that regard because he has to become Bakugo's heart, in which case Best Genius said that he can't come back from that. So Edge Shot will most likely die. If he doesn't, again, disappointment. But he's doing his part as a hero. But overall, I really wish we got to see more, adversity. More adversity for the heroes, not just the villains, being able to crush them and then say, okay, you're defeated, I'm going to move on to someone else now. No, this was supposed to be a moment of, of war. People are supposed to die in war. I mean, last season, season 6, we got to see a lot of people die. A lot of heroes died. So, I want to see more of that. I want to see, people sacrifice themselves for each other. Obviously, more heroes will probably sacrifice themselves for the sake of probably protecting Deku or helping him, in his fight against Tomura. I'm pretty sure we'll probably get that at some points, but as of right now, we haven't seen any of that, and it's a little unfortunate. But we'll see. We'll see how things go. As for an overall rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10, which is great on my scale. After rewatching it a couple times, I was actually conflicted about maybe giving it 8, which would be... Oh, sorry. 8 is great. 7 is good. Yeah, 7 is good. 8 is great. So I would give it an 8 highest, but I am going to stick with the 7. After rewatching it a couple more times, I got to understand a little bit more about how Toga feels. Even I need to understand how Toga feels. But yeah, it was just a little confusing to me. Just a little bit confusing. But overall, I enjoyed the dynamic between her and Uraraka, and I loved how this was resolved. I loved it. Now, showing off what happens now after the end, sure, they can do that. I love to see what happens with Toga. She is one of the more important villains after all, and so seeing how this ends, and like I said, it has to end with her just giving herself up and getting to custody. That'd be great. I just want to see it. Now, as far as what else to expect, like I said, we're just probably going to go back to Deku and what's happening with him. But I have no real huge expectations except for really good action to come in the next so many episodes. I really love the design of the characters in this one, as well as what was happening. So everything else just adds up. And again, the only real reason it lost points is because of the fact that there's no real tension. There's no real danger. Even Uraraka, she's not going to die. Let's be honest. She's not going to die. So, there's no tension. There's no real danger. I think plot armor is coming into play a little too much here. But overall, everything looked great. And I can't wait to see what happens next. So, thank you guys for watching this review. If you guys have anything to say, leave in the comment section down below your thoughts. Do you agree or disagree with what I had to say in this video? If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to keep up to date with my reviews as well as the next episode. Overall, I really enjoyed it and I can't wait for the next week. And overall, the season itself is really good. I am really enjoying it. Honestly, probably my favorite season amongst all the seasons so far that we've seen. But it does have moments of, downs and moments of ups. And again, I will do a full season review towards the end. But again, we still have quite a few episodes to go, so we'll see what happens. But that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And like I said, leave a comment down below if you have anything to say. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.